On this episode of Create, Consume, Repeat, I'll show you how I shoot and edit all my TikTok content from my choice of camera, teleprompter, and Final Cut Pro workflow. So let's go. Before jumping in, a bit of a disclaimer. While I do work at TikTok, the views expressed and shared in this video are mine and mine alone, and in no way represent those of TikTok. What I'm about to share are techniques and equipment I have found useful in the creation of my own personal content. And I am not paid or sponsored by anyone. So with those legal formalities out of the way, let's run through some best practices and how you can level up your TikTok game. TikTok is an extremely entertaining platform that encourages creativity and joy. From cute dog videos to hilarious effects, there is no shortage of creative expression. And it's this creative freedom that makes it hard to build a one-size-fits-all approach to being successful on the platform. Yet, there are a few best practices we can employ to help us build a rapport with our audience and keep their attention. Number 1, be your authentic self and talk directly to your audience by looking down the barrel of the lens. 2, have a plan. Whether that's writing a full script or outlining some talking points, knowing what you're going to say will allow you to relax and be your best self. 3, shoot for the editing room by capturing multiple takes, ensuring each take varies in tone, delivery, and even location. Shot variety is a good thing. And 4, lead with a strong hook, and more importantly, cut to the chase. Attention spans are short, so keep it moving. Now that we've outlined some best practices, we can turn our attention to capturing footage. And for this, the best camera to use is the camera you already own. Whether it's an iPhone or Android, both will let you capture and edit your content, satisfying a majority of your creative needs. But for those seeking more flexibility and a better form factor, well, you may want to consider using a DSLR, since it unlocks all sorts of benefits like sweet bokeh. Now, for the purposes of this tutorial, I will be using a Sony a7R II, a 10-year-old DSLR capable of 4K 8-bit video output, which is lower quality than most modern smartphones. And the reason I've chosen this particular camera is to emphasize the impact a DSLR can have on the visual fidelity of your video, even if it's an older model. Now that we've decided on camera, you will inevitably have to decide between shooting 16:9 or 9:16. Both have their pros and cons, but in my humble opinion, if you plan to shoot strictly for TikTok, shooting vertically is the only option, since it allows for more flexibility during your edit and easier framing, which will be critical when you consider all the UI on screen. Now that we have our camera set up to shoot 9:16, we want to ensure we are properly framed. And here you can use your smartphone's front-facing camera or your DSLR's flip-out screen. Don't have a flip-out screen? No problem. Just pick up a small external monitor like this inexpensive Portkeys. That's not only bright, it provides a ton of professional monitoring tools like vector scopes, false color, and audio levels. Speaking of audio, your smartphone or camera's onboard microphone, while useful in a pinch, isn't your best choice. And here I strongly recommend picking up a microphone. I personally like wireless mics, like the Rode Wireless Go 2, since it comes with a receiver and transmitter that doubles as a microphone. But a wired mic is a lot easier to use. If you want to use this wireless system with your iPhone, don't forget to pick up a USB to Lightning port. Ooh, dongle. Ugly word. But what good is a mic if you can't remember your lines? Thankfully, there are a ton of apps that let you use your smartphone screen as a teleprompter. My personal favorite being Teleprompter by Teleprompter Apps Ltd. Now, if you've opted to use a DSLR, there are a ton of professional teleprompter options out there, but those are normally pretty expensive and not really mobile friendly, with Parrot Teleprompter 2 being the notable exception. The Parrot Teleprompter is an ultra-compact teleprompter that attaches to your camera lens via included adapter rings and uses your smartphone as the teleprompter screen. Plus, it comes bundled with a Bluetooth remote, allowing you the freedom to place your camera at a distance and easily redo your lines if you mess up. Now that we've captured our footage, the real magic happens in the editing room, with CapCut being the best choice if you plan to shoot on your mobile device, since it provides trending templates to help you get started, an extensive music library, and more importantly, it's loaded with a ton of powerful editing tools you don't normally find on a mobile app, like chroma keying, time remapping, sound isolation, video retouching. The list goes on and on. But the best part is that it's absolutely free. Still not happy and clamoring for even more control? Then I recommend using an NLE like Adobe Premiere, DaVinci Resolve, or my personal favorite, Final Cut Pro. Now, as mentioned at the start of this video, here is how I set up my Final Cut project timeline. Step 1, we will need to create a new library. When the dialog box opens up, navigate to the desktop and select New Folder. When that dialog box opens up, give the folder a name and hit Create. With our directory set up, let's name our library before hitting Save. Step 2, with our library configured, we will need to create a new project. When that dialog box opens up, please give it a name and select Vertical for video format, 1080 by 1920 for resolution, 29.97 for frame rate, Apple ProRes 422 LT for codec, standard Rec 709 for color space, and stereo at 48 kilohertz for audio. Step 3, with all our format options properly set up, we can begin to drag over our footage. But for those shooting in HDR on newer model iPhones, you have one extra step, and that is to properly manage your HDR footage. And to do this in Final Cut Pro, you will need to open the Effects Browser panel. Select All from Video, and in the search field, type HDR. You should now see an effect called HDR Tool. Please drag this onto any HDR footage in your timeline. From the video inspector, select HLG to Rec 709 SDR. And just like that, your video should now look properly exposed. For those shooting with a DSLR, your video will not need this step unless you are shooting in log. And if you are, then you should turn your attention to the info inspector and select your camera manufacturer's lookup table. Step 4. If you're shooting in 4K like most modern cameras do, you will want to find Spatial Conform in the video inspector and select None. This step will grant you full and total control of your video footage resolution. And since TikTok videos are 1080 by 1920, you have way more pixel information to play with. And this is significant, since you can scale down your footage to fit properly within 1080 by 1920, giving you sharper picture quality, or more importantly, grant you the ability to push in to your original shot without worrying about a loss in quality. So say hello to uncomfortable close-ups. And with that, we are at the end of another episode, and I hope that all these tips have helped you level up your TikTok game. Have any questions or comments? Well, then don't hesitate to leave them in the comments section below. But more importantly, don't forget to smash that like, subscribe, and bell so you're notified when I drop a new episode. Catch you guys next time.